Hello, Mr. Collins. You're welcome.
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
Bros, you're welcome. All right. Let us pray. Our God and Father, we thank you for your good and your mercies are forever. We thank you for yet another opportunity to learn about how to become a food-secure society. Our prayer, oh Lord, is that you help us that after learning, we apply it so that we can become food sufficient. In Jesus' most precious name we pray. Amen. All right, you're welcome. Prof, you're welcome. Glad to have you here. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to start. Today we'll be looking at pig rearing. Okay. And we have great farmers that will join us on this, great pig farmers that will be joining us on this webinar to share from their wealth of experience. Okay. So in this webinar, we'll be looking at, we'll do introduction, we'll look at why we rear pigs. We'll also look at the basics of pig farming, like the types of pig farming and the common breeds of pigs that we can rear around out here. We're going to look at how we can set up a pig farm, looking at site selection, housing, equipment. We're also going to look at the regulations and the permits that we must have before we can set up a pig farm. We also need to look at the pig nutrition and feeding. All right. We're going to look at also the health management. How do we manage our pigs in the farm? Also look at breeding and reproduction, market and economics. What is the market trends, the cost analysis, and the profitability in pig business? We also have to look at the waste management system because it's paramount. In fact, one of the major things people are afraid of when they want to start up their pig farm is waste management. So we're going to look at how we can manage the waste we generate from our pig farms, okay? And agricultural and religious implications. We'll also look at them, and then we'll entertain our questions and answer. All right, it promises to be an exciting section. Okay, so while we are waiting for the expert in pig farming to join us, we're going to start. All right, we're going to start. Now, when we talk about pig farming is also known as pig husbandry or swine farming. Okay, it involves the raising and breeding of domestic pigs for the production of meat, that's pork, which is what we know generally. Most times when people talk about pig production, the first thing that comes to their mind is pork meat, to produce pork meat. But there are other things that we can actually get from, from pigs. Some of those things are bacon. Okay, bacon is salted and smoked meat, and it comes from the back or sides of a pig. We also have other products like ham. Ham is a specific cut of pig from the pig's hind legs, and other products. I'm sure that we have learned something new just now, right? If you have, say yes, I have. Okay. There are some fun facts I want to share about pig farming. It may interest you to know that there are some interesting things about pigs. You know, pigs are fascinating animals, and contrary to the widespread belief, they are incredibly intelligent. They are social animals, and they are one of the cleanest animals. I'm sure a lot of us will not agree that pig is one of the cleanest animals we can rear. Please, when you come in, just mute yourself. Okay, mute yourself. Pigs are one of the cleanest animals that can be reared. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. It is one of the smartest animals on the planet. You may not know, but you're going to be learning something new today. Yes, pigs are one of the smartest animals on planet Earth. Their intelligence ranks higher than dogs. Can you imagine? And even some primates. Now, pigs have very long memories and can remember things even years later. Are you surprised? Yeah, pigs can remember things even years later. Now, they like to get massages, in natural conditions. They use trees for rubbing their backs. They relax while listening to music. Pigs listen to music. And they're very curious animals, and they like different toys. Okay? Now, pigs are very social animals. They form close bonds with each other and other species, and some like to cuddle up close, especially at low temperatures. I told you something that pigs are clean animals, even though you may not agree. Why? Because pigs have a reputation for being dirty animals, but they are actually clean. This bad representation comes from the fact that, like dogs, pigs can't sweat to cool off, because they don't have sweat glands. So they can't cool off. So in warm temperatures, they like to roll around in the mud to cool their skin. But you see, as long as they are not overheated, pigs actually keep very clean. In fact, they are careful not to leave their waste anywhere near where they eat or sleep. Interesting, right? Yeah. Pigs are actually clean animals. They are not as dirty as we think. Okay. Now, the biggest domestic pigs weighs over a ton. The average weight of domestic pigs usually is between 300 to 700 pounds. Although certain breeds can weigh less or more. Now, there's this breed called Big Bill. Big Bill is the largest pig ever on record, and it was a Poland China breed that stood 5 feet tall and weighs 2,552 pounds. Amazing, right? Now, it has been holding this record for over 89 years. Okay. Permit me to welcome one of our great pig farmers, Mr. Shooks Olumba. You're welcome. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I apologize for joining late.
It's okay, sir. We understand that you're a very busy person.
Yeah.
But we're glad you're here finally. So the floor will be open for you to take over. Currently, we're talking about fun facts about pigs. Okay, do you know that pigs can communicate? Most times we think that those noise they make, the quacks and the grunts, are just noise. No, they're not actually noise. It's actually a way for pigs to communicate with each other, and they express their moods. They may grunt to warn other pigs of approaching danger or make unique sounds while running. a whole lot of facts fun facts about pigs. You know, pigs, the sow, which is the mama pigs, it bears up to 10 piglets at a time. As you can see here, okay, he gave back to these piglets. And do you know that they are pregnant for a unique number, like 3 months, 3 days, 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days. Like the number of time, the period of time that pig is pregnant is 333, 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days. As those newborn piglets are lying down there and sucking the breast, each of them have unique tags for a specific breast. And so you see, they are, you know, they have their own particular breast that they can suck. Another piglet can suck it. God is amazing, really. When I learned about this, I was awed. I'm like, wow. And you know, piglets, they can recognize their mom's voice as early as 2 to 3 weeks of age. And as such, they can respond when they are called. Amazing things happen in the pig world, and the more we learn about them, the more we want to know more, and of course, explore this area of agriculture, which is pig farming. I want to encourage us all to pay attention, relax, and open up your mind. Just forget about whatever you know about pig farming before now. I know some of us do not like, you know, pig meat per se, and I saw there's this phobia. Well, I don't like pig, but there is so much more about pigs that we may not know, and that's why it's important for us to just relax, keep an open mind, and just learn. And after learning, remember, you need to apply, because it is in the application that we can actually, you know, succeed in becoming a food-sufficient society. Remember, that's our goal. At this point, I'm going to let the floor open to Mr. Shooks Olumba. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, it's good to be here.
Okay, great. So I'm going to be asking you some questions so you can share from your word of experience about pig farming. The first question I'm going to ask you is this, sir. Why do you think we should rear pig? What is the importance of rearing pigs?
Basically, the economic importance is a kind of business, is a subset of agriculture. You know, just like people who raise poultry fowls, people who raise goats, people who raise cows, then other kind of animals. Today we have even people that have started raising things like rabbit or even our local ones, you know. So it's basically the economic benefits. It's a kind of business that you do, just like any other business, any other section of agriculture. So that is it. And then will I say it's also for people that are into integrated farming, it's also a kind of source of manure, very, very rich manure for people who are into maybe cassava, corn, soya bean, or any other thing that you're planting. Is one of the best manures you can use, you know, in terms of farming. I'm saying from personal experience. I've used this severally. The result is amazing. Maybe in actual competition with our NPK fertilizer in terms of its use and its result. So that's what I think. That's basically economic. So it's like any other business. So it's a reason to raise pig. So I don't know that if that explains that, or if I should go further down to maybe being source of protein, source of food, and all. I feel those are elementary.
Okay, great. Please, you can tell us more, because we want more persons to be encouraged into rearing pigs.
Okay, as one of the sources of protein, you know, in the society is a kind of meat. and a very rich one, except you're somebody who has certain religious proclivities, you will agree with me that pork meat is one of the healthiest form, even though biblically it said it's not holy, it's not neat, it's not clean, and all whatnot. But empirically, if you subject them to analysis, if you subject pig and other meats to analysis, scientific analysis, I'm not talking about religious belief and figments of our imaginations. Basically, it's a very healthy, it's a very clean meat source of protein for the society at large. That is it. Then I've talked about the usage of East-West in agriculture. You also talk about use of pig waste as a source of gas, biogas. For those that want to go into that, it's a source of gas. If you have up to 50 pigs in your house or in your backyard or within a space, you can use the waste to generate enough gas to cook whatever you want to cook for it. For those who don't want to explore that, it's an option. Then also for commercial purposes, again, people also go into using it as a manure in form of they turn it into pellets, dry it up and put it up as the commercial fertilizer that you see in any other shop. It can stay that way for as long as it takes, and is also a source of fertilizer. Then I also discovered something, in a place like Netherlands, I saw a farmer who turned the pig waste into a kind of wood. It's a kind of wood because the way we package our knockouts here. That's the way they packaged it, but in a larger form. So you can use it for those who want to heat the house. They can use it to heat their house. That's what I observed there. So there are a lot of use you can put both the waste from pig and the pig itself, too. In terms of being a source of protein, there are many ways you can prepare it. You can prepare it as pepper soup. You can prepare it as fry it. You can dry it and keep it to stay for so long a time. So again, you let me also mention that the whole football you see on the planet Earth today, any durable football you see, any serious football company, they produce football. That leather you see, it's pigskin. No other this thing can compete with it in that area. So there are diverse use you can put this thing, as far as your innovation can carry you. So that's basically that. But for me as a farmer, we do raise them, we sell them to the market. The market is a very large one, very large market.
Great,
So,
great. Thank you. We're going to come to the market. Thank you so very much. Wow. I'm sure a whole lot of us are beginning to make decisions on starting our own pig farm. But I need you to clarify us on something. Because as you're saying this importance, I'm sure a lot of persons are asking, how can I start? Now, so what are the basics in pig farming? Like, what are the different types of farming that one can engage on? All right. That's one of it.
okay.
Then after it, you're going to tell us the various pig breeds that are available here. Okay.
Okay. Now, let me say something about starting. Basically, I can say that the first thing you consider is housing. Yes, housing is good, housing is important, but that's the general perspective, that's the general opinion. But I feel that more important than housing is the issue of the breed that you take in. You're saying I will have to talk about breeds differently, but I feel, how do I start? I will say you start from having a good breed in your farm. From my experience, if you don't have a good breed in your farm, you will be discouraged. You will be discouraged. You'll be forced out of the business. Because take for example, if you can have a pig that can, on maximum feeding, that can hit at least 100 kg after a period of 6 months, 7 months, 100 kg, then you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And you will find that there are a lot of pigs around that people will go to. You go to their farm, you see pigs that are big. But the question you don't ask yourself, how long did it take for that pig to get that big? It might be a pig that is up to 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Of course, pigs, they have one unique character. They don't stop growing. They keep growing. So you notice that the pig is big, and then you think, oh, this is a good breed and at a good price for you. Then you buy. Those were the mistakes we made at the very beginning. So we bought those breeds without knowing how long their parent stock they've stayed before they got that big. And we are saddled with pigs that wouldn't get any weight after even a year, after a year plus. They'll still be pricing at peanut price. So it was very discouraging for us at first. For me in person, at the time I decided to sell off everything and now go for what I really need for the farm and what is giving me presently result. So you need good breeds. Very, very important. Very, very important. If you don't have good breeds, you're going to go out of the business before you know it, because you'll be frustrated. Because if you can spend money and feed, and at the end of the day, you can't get your profit back, then what are you talking about? You can't stay in the business. So I will say that the first thing is to pick a good breed. Pick a good breed. There's no distance to it. Pick a good breed. That's where we are. There's one thing you must do if you want to start. Then, depending on your capacity financially, I would say you should start with as little as you can manage. That is also very important, because you can get overwhelmed. You can buy 3 pigs if they are beautiful breeds. I have one that farrowed 15 at a time. It was the first in of that pig. It farrowed 15. I have one that farrowed 20 at a time. Maybe that was the second in. So you can imagine if you have 2 pigs, just 2 pigs, one farrowing 20, one farrowing 15. Now you have 25 mouths to feed. It's a lot of work. And you can't say they will suckle all through. It doesn't work that way. After 2 weeks, you start what they call creep feeding. So you notice that some way, somehow, you will still be spending money feeding them. If you want to get excellent result, if you want them to grow, you must start creep feeding, which most times is a bit expensive. I mean, the creep feed to keep them going. If not, believe you me, after 1 month, you won't recognize their mother again. The mother will be pure bone, because they eat a lot. And funny enough, the older they get, the more the mother's milk dries up. So that will be when they will be needing more food. So they keep, draining their mother of whatever is left of her. So
Okay.
that's how they.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shooks. Thank you so very much. Now, for someone who wants to start pig farming, okay, I know that there are about 3 different types of pig farming. Okay, we have the intensive, we have the extensive, and the free range. For someone who wants to start and the person doesn't have all the money, can you advise should the person start intensively? What if the person have all the money? So tell us about these different types of pig farming, okay? And we would like you to be specific, because we want to be practical. After this webinar, can somebody start something? We'd like you to be specific.
Okay.
If somebody is having little money, would you what kind of pig farming would you want the person to embark on? Intensive, extensive, or free range? And as much as you can tell us how many pigs the person can start with, 1, 2, 3, and how many male, how many female. Okay, that's for intensive. For someone who doesn't have all the money. Now, for someone who has, capital and is looking for where to invest, and what kind of pig farming would you advise a person to embark on? Extensive or free range? And how many pigs do you think the person should start with? Okay, as much as as much as we want people to be able to get results, we want people to be able to try out something even after attending this webinar. So please tell us, we know that there are challenges in the farming. We're going to talk about that. Okay, but for now, we want to know how we can start. What are the different types of pig farming? And now, in this part of the world, what are the common breeds that are available? If you're going to advise someone who wants to start, what is there a particular name? Are there names for this breed? Or are there characteristics that you can use to identify the breeds that can produce, good meat? I want you to be, explicit, please. Thank you, sir.
Okay. The question is many now. You've asked me a lot of questions. When I start, you say, okay, now.
Don't worry, you can explain. We are listening.
With little capital, when you say with little capital, it's relative, because I want them to get the real information, because I'm teaching from a practical point. I'm not being theoretical. I'm telling you exactly how it is. Now, if you want to start with little capital, let's say you want to start, okay, let's talk about location. People consider pig a very dirty animal, which is very, very wrong. Very wrong. Because to be frank with you, my farm is just in my backyard. I mean, my backyard, just my backyard. So, and I'm running it. And there was a time I had up to, let's say I had up to 100 there, 100 and something. But now they've reduced because I'm considering moving the other stocks, the piglets and the growers and all whatnot to a new location, while I keep the parent stock still within my premises. So if you're talking about location, your location can be in your backyard. Your location can also be elsewhere outside. And the system that you use depends on where you're locating it. So if you're using, like what you said, something about free range is good, but you know that free range entails fencing a place and leaving these pigs inside there, providing food from maybe the fence or even the gate or from wherever, and giving, maybe you can use nipples or you use ordinary ground buckets or something as drinking spots. So once they drink and eat, they are good, because they somehow know how to manage their waste. Once they choose a location for waste, they will keep it there. They can't scatter it all over like cows or goats or sheep or sheep, I mean to say. They don't scatter, they don't do it that way. They just have a way of managing their waste themselves. So if you want to do that, that's okay. But it has its challenges. So since you said I shouldn't talk about the challenges, let me leave it off. Well, there's a free range that you can run that way. And you can run from hundreds to thousands, in free range, depending on the space that you have. That is one. Now, you can also do the deep litter system. I can't start explaining it here because it's something, it has, you need to give the details as to how it runs. But simply put, it's you dig a hole, you put sticks, you put charcoal, then you put sticks, and then you cover the top with straw. It can stay like that for the next 2-3 years, because the waste, they can never contact it. I mean, the urine, and then the other solid waste is something you can always scoop out. So you can do it within your premises, you can do it outside your premises. But basically, if you really want to do number, you have to do it outside your premises, outside the residential area, because pigs can be noisy at times when they are hungry or when you're feeding them. Anyway, those are challenges. But if you want to do numbers, what I mean, when you want to do up to 50 or 100 or 200, you have to do it elsewhere. And when you want to go, when you want to do up to 1,000 or 2,000, you also have to do it elsewhere. But if you want to start something small, now let's get to starting something small. You have little money. Now it depends on how you want to start. Let me give you an example. You can start raising pigs by buying the piglets. Those are the little ones that just got weaned, maybe some people win by 8 weeks, some by 12 weeks or so. I personally, I mean to say, I like doing it at 3 months so that the piglets will be very strong then. And so if you take them off the milk, you take them off food, by the time you win them, they are even they are even independent of their mother. So you can start with buy up to 4. Maybe you buy up to 4 or 4 female and buy 1 male. But my advice is you don't buy if you don't buy male from the farm because of what we're breeding. So with that number, you can do it. You can do it at the backyard. You can do it at any property around you. All you need to do is to control for how to manage the waste. To be properly managed to stop those around. And then another thing you have to know, there are certain feeds that generate also. There are some that generate less, like I use none. So I think you can go with 5 and 1 male, 1 boa, call it. You don't want to call them sows now because they're called sows. So that's then you can also start by buying in pigs. In pigs are pregnant pigs. In that case, they will be a bit expensive. Pig that is an impig because come to think, if you have some people sell regular pigs, they sell 40, 50, 60, but I know that a pig like Duroc, a pure breed of Duroc, you can't get it anything less than 300, 350,000, today. So that is it. That's when I mean a pure breed of Duroc, a piglet that is 8 weeks or 3 months. You can't get anything less than 350,000 if it's a pure breed. But if it's maybe a hybrid or so, you can get at 120, 150. But if you have these other local breeds that have been watered down, you can also get them. You'll be shocked to get them at 45, maybe 30 or so, thereabouts. So that's how it goes. So it depends on how you want to start. So you can start with winners, you can start with growers, you can start with pigs. Those are the pregnant pigs. And when I say growers, I mean those that have gone beyond winners. They are now up to 4, 5, 6 months. Those are the ones that they call growers, and they are getting ready to be served with a boar. So that's basically that. So I've said something about number. If you want to have big number, you can't do it in your premises. If you want to start small, you can do it there. And then you can have an extension where you can take your number to. I can, when my pig farrows, let's say I have up to 50, maybe I have up to 5 and the farrows at the same time, maybe 10, and I have up to 50, then I can raise those 50 up to a point and then move them out. I can't do that within the premises, except I have a space that I can actually manage within the premises. And it's also for the safety of the animals, so that you don't put your investment in a place where you will lose it, or your farm in a place where you can't access it. So I don't know if I made much sense saying all this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So much value, so much value. Thank you so much. So that means we can start rearing pig at our backyard. Is that what you mean? Otherwise,
yes.
Oh, great, great. That should be a kind of intensive pig farming, right?
Yes.
Okay. what about extensive pig farming? If I want to start pig farming as, business, how do I set up the farm? Like in terms of site selection, the key factors that we can look at in choosing the suitable sites to use, the infrastructure that, the basic infrastructure that we should get, even though you've said something about that, but that was basically for the intensive, okay? And then, are there regulations and permits that I must get? Basic legal requirement that I must get before I can start my pig farm.
Okay, so let me start from the last one. Fortunately, there are no regulations, presently. Are you with me? Fortunately, there are no regulations presently. There are no regulations presently. So it's still a free business for any person who wants to go into it. But I only feel that when you start generating waste, and the waste is producing offensive odors within a particular environment, I think that's maybe people might think of getting in health people or Entraco or any of these other agencies that regulate or that have something to do with the environment. So I feel that's in terms of regulation, there's no regulation. It's just something that you can start for now. But I know that maybe in the future, regulatory agencies will have to come in, and there might be legal frameworks around starting a big business. So that is that for the regulating agency, legal framework.
Wow. We are lucky, are we not? So it's time to maximize this opportunity. Nothing stops us.
Lucky.
Yeah, we're very lucky in this part of the world. Okay, nothing stops us.
Hello, good evening.
Mr. Felician, good to have you here. Mr. Felician is from Songhai. We're glad you joined us. And Mr. Teo is from Songhai. We're glad you're here. You're welcome. Hi, is IGRC. Okay, great. So we don't have any excuse at all not to do our pig farming. And of course, remember that there are a lot of economic value. It can be a source of huge income, okay, if well managed. And so let's grab this opportunity and start something. All right, back to you, Mr. Shooks. For someone who has little or no knowledge about pig farming, how would you advise the person concerning the pig nutrition and feeding? What are the dietary requirements that the pig would basically need? And these feeding requirements, are there things that can be sourced locally, or would they have to be outsourced? Okay, is it some homemade, or will the person have to buy it all from the market? If there are options of making your pig feed at home, can you put us through that? And also, if we're going to buy, when we go to the market, where in the market are we going to go to, and what are we going to ask of? Thank you. Also, include the feeding schedule. What are the best practices for feeding pigs efficiently?
Okay, so basically, your now is asking about pig nutrition. That's what you're asking about, pig nutrition.
Yes, sir.
So pigs are very much like human beings in terms of our system. They are not like goats. Even though you'll still see them eat grass, some kind of leaves, some kind of grass, like plantain leaves, like cassava leaves, like avocado pear leaf, like certain kind of grasses also. They eat potato leaf and all whatnot. I think that they are not designed to live on such as their major source of food, because you also see them eat meat. You also see them eat other things. So, but basically, pig nutrition is basically carbohydrate, protein, vitamins, and water. That is just it. So anything that can provide these things can be given to them at a particular ratio, depending on the stage of their life. Basically, if while they are still small, like the winners, you look at the protein. You focus more on protein because they need it, just like a little child. You focus more on protein because they need that protein to grow. Even though you add a bit of carbohydrate, there's a table I can provide at maybe some other time as to the ratio of this to this that you can use to formulate whatever feed that you want to give them at a particular stage of their life. But I know that while they are small, while they are winners, you focus more, they'll be high in protein, even though you also need to watch it, because when you give them excess protein, you will discover that some of them might start having a stomach upset, which we call scoring in farming, a kind of diarrhea. So people address that by giving them a particular kind of vitamin. The vitamin will allow them to retain large quantity of protein in their body, and you see some of them will bulk abnormally. That's how they do the magic. So basically, you look at the protein and then a bit of carbohydrate, and of course, their vitamins is very, very important. So that's basically what we do. Usually, they can get vitamins from maybe some of these plantain leaves and all whatnot, the leaves that you give to them and all whatnot. But most times you don't depend on that. You can also buy the premix vitamins that you can add to their food, you can add to their water. There are a lot of them. Some of them are also injectables that you can give through injections. So that is that at that level. Then while they are growing, when they get to something like 3 months, 4 months up, then that's when you need to change the ratio of protein to carbohydrate. Carbohydrate at that time should be equal to protein in what you're giving to them at that time. Then after that time, I think that's what they will be on until they hit the period when they get maybe crossed, and now they are pregnant. If they are pregnant, is also a very different kind of feeding. In fact, I lost one of my very is a land race that I bought, a pure breed with pedigree. I have a record of how it came. How it came in, and I bought one of these things and I lost it. Why I lost it was my fault somehow, because when a pig starts getting to the point of farrowing, you need to be careful with what you give. You don't feed too much because the piglets will get so big, and then when they get so big, since it's preterm, preterm in this case, it's a pig that is farrowing for the first time. They might have difficulties, considering they are bulking and all whatnot. They might have difficulties pushing, But in this case, I made the mistake of, when he had these difficulty in pushing, I was supposed to let it go, just allow it and see if it happens. But I made the mistake of giving oxytocin, which is an injection that it helps the pig to push at that point, and it ruptured, which is the wrong thing, because you do not give oxytocin to preterms. A pig that is farrowing for the first time, you do not give oxytocin. So that was how I lost it. So it's also because of the feeding. So the information about feeding is available to the public. I can also make available the table that I use in formulating their feed if you want to formulate them locally. So if you talk about also on formulation, most people use blood as a source of protein. whether they cook it or they mix it with PKC. And because of the nature of PKC, if you mix blood with PKC, somehow it cooks it. Because when you come the next day or maybe after a few hours, you put your hand into the blood and PKC, you discover it's hot or warm. So somehow it cooks it. So people use blood as a source of protein. People use soya bean as a source of protein, either soya bean raw or soya bean sludge that they use as a source of protein. So basically, that's what people do around here that I know. Then people who can farm maggots is also a fantastic source of protein for the pig. But you discover that when you mix PKC and blood and keep it for a while, naturally flies will come and lay eggs in the place. If it's a cubicle, a tanker, or a tank, if it's a tank or maybe just a rubber, any kind of plastic, you discover they will lay eggs there. And after 2 or 3 or 4 days, you see maggots. So you can farm maggots from there, or you can feed them from there, mixing them with other these things as source of protein. Then people use cassava sludge or cassava or corn as source of carbohydrate around here. So the idea of giving pigs just PKC is out of the question. It's not a food that you give to a pig alone, give to pigs alone. PKC is not a food for the pig. It's not something you can depend on as something you're feeding your pigs on. So that is basically that for proteins and carbohydrates. And for minerals, I think you should depend on buying some of these premix vitamins that you can mix with their food and give to them. So then for people that are formulating food that are not very rich in protein, they can buy things like lysine, which is the major content of blood, the lysine thing, so you can buy it and you can mix it with their food and you give to them. So then people say that pigs, they eat anything, but that somehow it's true, because people will also go and pack up things like spoiled pineapple, spoiled cucumber, spoiled watermelon, dump it there, and you'll notice that your pigs will be eating it and they will be growing big before your eyes. So they're fantastic animal, very resilient, in terms of rugged animals that if you give them the needed little support, they will take off. And their ability to convert is another thing. In fact, that's what differentiates good breeds of pigs from the poor ones, most of these local ones, because the rate at which they convert food, whatever they take in, they use it. Whatever they take in, they use it. I'm saying this from a very practical point of view because I've seen it, I observed it firsthand. In fact, I have some pigs in my farm now that, yes, they are big. When people look at them, they say they are big.
You say, ask them, you say me bet. I say yes. Now what you say again?
Okay, I think Mr. Chooks is encountering some network challenges, and wow, it's been so interesting. Like, I'm learning a whole lot of new stuff. Mr. Chooks, if you can hear us, please, we are waiting for you.
Yes, sorry. So I was saying that you can give premix vitamins, add them to the food, or so that it will be the source of vitamins for the pigs in the food that you're formulating. Like there was a time I used to go out there and I go to some of these companies that grind maize and soya beans and all whatnot. From there, I buy some of these supplements and add to it as source of vitamins. So what I was saying that apart from these costly sources, this thing. You can also rely heavily on things like pineapples, things like watermelons, spoiled ones, things like cucumbers, spoiled ones, that they will also eat it. And the difference between those good breeds and these local breeds is their ability to convert food. Most of these good breeds, they convert foods, and you see the conversion. You see the rate at which they are growing. Basically, when you come to my farm, you will notice I have some pigs which people will look at and say, "Wow, this pig is big." But I can tell you the difference. One is a year, the other one is a year, 1 month. The other one is a year. The other ones are a year old. But if you look at the sizes, you see the difference are there. So the differences are there. So if you get a pig that can convert food, convert whatever it takes into a good distance. Let me even tell you something. If you look at a cow eat grass. Cows, they eat grass. So, but when you cut a cow open, you will see fat, lots of fat. They grow big on those grasses. Now, the question is this: if you feed the pig grasses alone, they will not grow as big as the cow. That's the basic truth. So, why? It depends on the ability to convert. The cow, it has an enzyme that can squeeze out protein from a leaf, but pigs are not designed that way. But even in pigs, you discover that there are pigs that can squeeze out food they can squeeze out nutrients from certain foods that the other ones cannot squeeze out from. Funny enough. So that's the conversion secret. The ability to squeeze out the whole nutrients you can from whatever that is given to you. So that is the secret of this breed. So basically that's that.
Wow. Please, if you're getting value, you can type 777. Okay. Personally, I'm learning a whole lot. Now, the difference between cow and pig. Why a cow can eat grass and get big, pigs can eat the same grass and not get as big. Interesting. Okay. It's also interesting to know that pigs are omnivorous. That means they can eat anything. Interesting. And I think that's a huge advantage for the farmer, especially the farmer who is doing integrated farming. It means that you wouldn't have waste in your farm. All your waste goes to the pig. And so even if you're rearing your pigs at home, even the kitchen waste goes to the pig. Interesting. And it converts it to meat, and that is good money. Interesting, is it not? Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Shooks. Thank you for sharing a whole lot. Practical experience. This is not something we can easily come by. Thank you for sharing from your practical experience. Okay, break. We're going to be asking more questions concerning the vaccination and medication. Are there essential vaccinations that the pigs require and treatments? Because I believe in prevention. I believe in preventive medicine than curative. So what are the preventive vaccinations that we can give our pigs that could enable them not to fall sick?
Okay, basically, let me start from when a pig is ready to farrow. I will just share my own approach. 2 weeks to farrowing, I give the mother pig, I give iron to the mother pig, because that's one of the essential things that the piglets need, iron at that stage. If you overdose it, you will see iron reaction, which is not that good. But if you do it properly, you will get a fantastic result. So once the pig farrows, I give my first iron at the third day, because that is when the iron content in the body begins to deplete. It starts from the third day. And that's why it's also very important that that first milk that comes out from the mother immediately after delivery, you try and make sure the pig picks it. That milk, you can't get it anywhere. It's called colostrum. It's different from the milk that they drink later on. The first 7 hours, 8 hours after farrowing, there's a particular milk that comes out. That's the biggest protection that a pig can have. It's called colostrum. So I feel that's the first vaccination you give to a pig. So you make sure they pick it. All of them, when they pick it, they are safe. And that's why you notice that if a pig farrows and dies, there is nothing you can give to that pig or that will make that pig perform more than any other pig that is actually raising the piglets. Because no matter what you give to that pig, it can't do as well as that. That's one secret, you know. So their first vaccination should be that colostrum. It's very important, very essential. Now, after that, on the third day, I give my first iron vaccine, because basically I'm not looking at height at that time, I'm looking at size. So some people will give on the 5th day, depending on what result you want to see. But I give on the 3rd day, because that's when the iron begins to deplete. And then I give on the 10th day, because that is another essential time. So on the 1st day, I give 1 meal, and on the 10th day, I give 2 meals. Those are the first that you give to a piglet. Then there's something else I do to the mother to avoid having a kind of, at that time, their stomach, they're very, very sensitive when they're small. Their stomach is very, very sensitive. So that's why for a person, I try to use ORS. I put ORS in water. Once they're up to 2 weeks, I start giving them that ORS. It's a kind of a way to, because usually you will notice that most of them will start having diarrhea one way or the other. What they are doing is not just diarrhea, it's loss of electrolytes. So, and you don't replace electrolyte with water, ordinary water. So you replace electrolyte with electrolyte. That's why you give ORS. If you give water alone to a pig that is having experiencing diarrhea, what you're doing is that you're neutralizing the electrolytes in the system already, and believe you me, that pig may likely die. That's what most people do not know, because you don't replace electrolyte with water, you replace electrolyte with electrolyte. So when a pig is having that diarrhea, what it's losing is not water, what it's losing is electrolyte. And believe you me, even if you do not treat a pig that is having diarrhea, if you don't give a single injection and you keep it on ORS, the pig will recover and move on with life as if nothing happened. So, but most people prefer to abort it with antibiotics. It depends also on the kind of bacteria that the pig is dealing with. So you don't know whether it's a negative or the positive one. So the sure thing to do is to give a broad spectrum antibiotic. So what I usually do is after the iron, I allow them to move on. But once I start giving food at 2 weeks, we will experience some level of diarrhea. So I try to abort it with antibiotics. At that stage, I use certain antibiotics, which I won't start mentioning here, because if you talk with me, I can just tell you personally. If you want to use it, use it. If you don't want to use it, there are lots that you can use. But I have biotoxin, which is a regular thing that farmers use in situations like that. But I have a personal antibiotics that I use that aborts that diarrhea and strengthens the pig, within that period. Then for the mother, I also give antibiotics because pregnancy exposes them to a lot of things. So I give heavy antibiotics to help clean the system. Then I also give deworm the mother so that the The piglets can pick that from suckling. They will pick the deworming medication, take bits and bits of it. So I don't give it directly to them. Then it depends again on the medication you're using. If I'm using what is it called again? If I'm using oh, sorry. When I remember, I tell you. But just to tell you that there are some deworming medications that are given intravenous or intramuscular or subcutaneous. So I prefer using the ones that they use, the subcutaneous ones, because it doesn't interact with the muscles immediately at that stage when their muscles are fragile. So, and I use the ones that I use. They apply subcutaneously if there is really need for me to give them such a medication to deworm them, even while they are still with their mother. Then once they are out, it's a standard practice. You deworm within 1 week after weaning. That's what I do as a standard practice. I don't need to observe anything for me to do it. Then for those, then as they are growing, you will notice a lot of things. There are a lot of diseases, that you see in a pig. Some of them will attack the central nervous system. Some will be the worms. The worms are the regular ones, so you deworm. That's what you do, and you give the right dosage. You do it according to the weight. From experience, you can say this one is this or this one is that, actually. From experience, you can do that. Then you give antibiotics, and then you give some other. They are very different kind of antibiotics that you can give. So it depends on the bacteria you're dealing with. So I use the broad spectrum one too, even while they are big.
Wow.
So that's
Wow.
I feel that's better.
Wow. I'm sure you wouldn't mind us dropping your contact after this webinar for those who may want to ask further questions to be able to reach you personally. I hope you don't mind, sir. Great, great,
No.
great. That's huge. That is huge, like what we must do to prevent illnesses. And I want to ask, what are the basic biosecurity measures? What are the strategies? I know we've talked about this, so many antibiotics we need to take, but are there basic biosecurity measures that we can take to further help prevent, the outbreak of diseases in our pig pens?
Yeah. Basically, while designing your pig pen, you should put drainage. You should put the nature of the pig waste. Should have it in mind. Like, you have to design the floor, not as if it will be slippery, but it will be in a form that the urine, once it hits the floor, it flows out or flows into any underground tank that you may have designed for it, so that they don't stay. Then the waste, you try to clean the pen at least once in a day. At least once every day, you clean the pen. At least once in a week or twice in a week, you wash the pen, and also wash the pig while you're washing the pen. That will help them. Then most times pigs react to some of these insecticides that we use. So that's why I would suggest you wash more. And then if you want to use any insecticide in any of these insecticides, you try and dilute it very well. Then you have to be careful about who is coming to your pig pen. A pig pen is not a zoo, it's not a place everybody walks in, So usually you be careful with people who buy pigs and people who work in other farms. You really have to be careful with them, because that's how diseases come. You might not have a disease in your farm, and then somebody walks into your farm the next day, you start having an outbreak, which is very, very painful. So you take care of these immediate hygienic measures, and then you now prevent people, try to avoid people coming to your farm, at least stepping into your farm. Have an attendant, or you can be the person that will walk into your farm each time to bring out a pig, even if you want to sell or attend to them. Then some people talk about keeping buckets of waters of exile or so around. That is also good. But I think if you have a particular shoe, a particular rubber slippers or something that you dedicate to your pig pen, you can keep them by the side, so that whenever you come around and you want to go into the pen or do something, that you use that one. You don't use it to walk around or do other things. So that's basically that.
Wow.
You know.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you so very much. So these are simple hygiene methods that we can apply to keep our pig pens in check. Prevention, like we know, is better than cure. So if we observe this, I'm sure that we'll have successful pig farm. Okay. Although we need to look at the breeding and reproduction, how do we breed? Okay, just in a very short time, just to say about 2 to 3 minutes. Can you tell us how we can breed pigs? Reproduction, the breeding and reproduction methods that we can use. Can we use artificial or natural insemination? Can we use natural or artificial insemination methods? And what are the reproductive cycles? Are there things that we need to know? And when they get pregnant, how do we take care of them? Just, make it short and simple. Thank you.
Okay. There are two ways you can do that. You've already mentioned it's either natural or by artificial. But if you're a beginner, it depends on how buoyant you are. The artificial is a bit expensive. And just like IVF in human beings, it can actually fail. Your sure bet is to use the natural one, which is having a birth that will take care of crossing that you use in crossing your pig. So and less costly. And after a while, you can sell the bird and you still make some good money out of it. So I feel the natural one is better. And again, when the pig is pregnant, one of the things you have to look at is once it's coming to the due date, 3 months, 10 days, 3 months, 15 days, 133 to 113 to 115, some 110, it depends. So once it's approaching that period, you have to separate it from the ones that are not pregnant. You need to have at least 2 weeks to that time, or 3 weeks to that time, you separate the pig. Let it have some quiet space where you talk about a farrowing pen. That's where you take the pig into. And then you try to feed more on fiber if you can. If it's a gilt, there's a pig that's taken in for the first time, you have to feed with lots of fiber to enable it to reduce the size of the piglet so that they can come out smoothly. And so the diet for that one and the diet for the one that is still growing the babies inside it will have to be different. So I feel that's basically that.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. I can see Ambassador Vera here. Ambassador Vera has a huge pig farm somewhere at Ohaji. Ambassador Vera, can you say hi to us? You can unmute yourself and do that. Okay. While we wait for her, Mr. Shooks, can you tell us, after rearing our pig, what is the market like for pigs, especially in this part of the world, the Eastern Nigeria? What is the market like? What is the market trends like? Is there a good outlook? Does it have good outlook? Is the market readily available? Okay, I finished rearing my pig now. Is there a ready market for me to sell?
Yeah, once you're done reading your page, the next thing is you sell. It depends on where you want to sell. You can sell as winners, you can sell as growers. You can also sell when they are big enough. You should have target. You might tell yourself that after 6 months I sell, after a year I sell, or winners after 8 weeks I sell. So it depends, and there are available markets for it. Usually, you call the people that buy, just tell them you have a pig, they come to your farm, look at it, price it, and then they can buy from there and take it. Then what you do is you tell them the kg. If you want to make 2,000 today, it sells at 2,000. So if that's what your target is, to sell a kg at 2,000, then that's beautiful. You can inform them and then you do it that way. So I feel that's basically that in terms of sales. And there's a huge market. There's actually a huge market for it around.
Wow, 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 wow. Good to know. A kg of pig goes for 2,000. That's quite fair, and knowing that pigs convert, into flesh a lot. That's good business that we can
2,000.
consider. Mm.
Yeah,
It's a
thank you.
good
Sorry.
business we can consider. Thank you so very much, Mr.
Yeah.
Shooks. Further, I want to ask, okay, you have been into pig farming for several years now. Can you tell us just an estimate? Okay, the minimum initial investment that one can use to start, and probably the running cost is an estimate, okay? Running cost for a period of 3 months. Okay. Just a rough estimate if you can.
If you're buying a pure breed of 2 pigs, you might have to keep at least, for purchase purposes, if it's a pure breed, you have to keep at least 150,000. If it's not a pure breed, if it's a regular breed, you can get pigs today at 25, 30,000, the regular breed. So if you're doing estimation for 3 months for winners, they don't eat much then. The problem starts when they are growers. That's when they start consuming. So if they are winners and you have a ton of PKC with what you need to mix it with, maybe blood, maybe soya bean, maybe corn that you want to mix it with. Basically, you're going to have 1 ton of this, 1 ton of that, 1 ton of PKC, and then 100 kg of corn, 100 kg of soya bean or blood. It depends on the one you want to use. So plus or minus, you talk about extra 300,000 or so to do that, to raise them for 3 months. And remember, some people just raise pigs as growers and then they sell off. You don't need to keep them until they're very big. It depends what you have in mind. So that's why in every case you need to consult properly. I have a mentor. I think any person who wants to go into the business should have a mentor, somebody you can ask direct questions and get answers from and talk to at a time. Whenever you're experiencing one difficulty or the other, they can even help you in sales and stuff like that. So that's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The last sentence you made concerning having mentors actually hit me, and it's a very important point. I think that's one of the major reasons we have Okobi consultants. Okay, for those who have started their Okobi businesses, the reason the consultants are there is so that you can have people you can ask questions as you continue. And it's very important that when you're starting any business, you have mentors, people you can always, go to and ask questions. so as to be able to be well guided and minimize losses. Thank you so very much. We're getting huge value here. We're so glad that you're here with us, Mr. Shooks. And we're going to ask just one more last question, and then we allow everyone to ask their questions. Okay, the last question we're going to be talking about, I want to ask, is concerning the sustainability peak farming. Well, how do we manage waste from the pig farm? I know you've said something about this when you started, but want you to emphasize, how do we manage the waste we generate from the pig farm? Okay, are there sustainable practices and eco-friendly methods that can be employed?
Yeah, you manage waste by, I give out to people that want to farm. I also use it to farm, and I also sell for people that farm water leaf, flowers and all whatnot. The people that are into gardening and all whatnot, they buy from me. I sell to them, and then I use myself, because most times it's easier to feed these animals if you can raise the food yourself. Cassava, corn, watermelon, stuff like that. So you don't need to depend on fertilizers that much to do such farming. You have the manure to do it yourself. So that's basically how the wasting goes. And then to manage the waste more effectively, if you pack a pig waste in a week, it should be dry enough for you to move it. But the way you do it is that you have to be careful about how you design this thing, what is it called? How you design the housing, because the more you mix it with the urine, the more difficult it is to handle. The less it does, the better for you, So in terms of packing it and keeping it and making it usable, or you keep it under a shed, it can also get dry. In 7 days, it should be dry enough. So that's in terms of managing the waste, And then I've said it depends on where you are. If you're in a full residential area, I will advise you don't use foods that produce a lot of smell. PKC is not a good one if you're living in a residential area. Blood is not so good if you're living in a residential area. So you can adopt some. I'm telling you from practical example, from practical experience. But if your farm is in a place that is free, you can do whatever you like. You can use any of those things. You don't have to give a damn about what to use, because nothing will be disturbing you or be disturbing any person around it. So that is it.
Great, thank you. We're so excited having you here, and we're learning so much from your wealth of experience. Now, finally, I know I said that was going to be the last question, but I want to ask, even though this is also going to be general for everyone, do you think that there are cultural and religious implications to rearing pigs? Like, are there some cultures that do not that thinks that rearing pig is not proper? Or do you know of any religious implication or about rearing pig? Because I know that when I was growing up, for some reasons, we don't eat pig, and I don't even know why. It just recently I started eating pig meat too. Okay, you say pig is dirty and stuff like that, but from what you have said and from the research I made, I discovered that pig is actually not a dirty animal. It's a clean animal. It's just that because it doesn't have a sweat pores, it gets hot and it wants to cool off, so it rubs its body on cool environment. So what do you think? Do you think that there are cultural and religious implications to rearing pigs? This is also open to everyone. Okay, while we listen to Mr. Shooks, If you have a response, you can raise your hand and we'll give you the opportunity to talk.
Okay, I want to say this. It's only in Leviticus, for those that are from Jewish background, or maybe your Sabbath, or maybe any of these Jewish communities, you see the sentiments about not eating pig. Traditionally, we eat pig here in Africa, here in Igbo land, you know. And for somebody who is a Christian, it depends on how you look at it. If you say you're a Jew and or you practice Judaism as your faith, you might say, okay, the Torah forbids it. But that's good. But the point is, there are a lot of people that consume pig within this space, like a lot and a lot of people. The people that don't consume it are just very few. And there's a huge market for it. So that way, to raise pigs is different from eating them. And even if you look at the Torah itself, for those with a Jewish background, there is nothing that forbids raising pigs or rearing pigs. No, there's nothing there. What they call the law of kashrut talks only about eating pig. You know, that's for those, because I'm saying this because Christians might not concern themselves with this because they know not about what I'm talking about. But I know that somebody who is of a Jewish background might know and might ask these questions concerning the law of kashrut. It does not say do not touch pig, because pigs are forbidden. You know, you do not eat pigs. That's what it says, because it is the eating according to the Jewish Torah that defiles, not touching pigs. So you can raise pigs. There are some people that raise pigs in these states that I know. Chinese people come every month to pack from their farms. They don't even sell to any person. I know somebody in government that the wife raises pigs in hundreds, and they just come and put their trucks and pack it. They don't sell to the public. You won't even know that they raise pigs. So there are people that eat it. If you do not eat it, that's okay. That's okay for you.
Thank you. Let's listen to Okay Oshulo. He's been raising his hand. Okay, the floor is open to you. Kindly unmute yourself and let's hear you.
All right, good evening. That was an insightful talk. I had a question, though I posted it earlier on the list before I went out. One, is there any industrial use for pig? Because there is a news going around that some of them are used for sausage roll. Then, is there any byproduct one can get from processing pig, and can you export it? That's all.
Okay, thank you. Industrial use of pig, and what are the byproducts? Can it be processed for export? Mr. Shooks, can you attempt this question, please?
Yeah, that's a proper word, because it's just an attempt, you know. Basically, I've said something about the leather industry. It's a big one. It's the pork meat for leather industry, football in particular. I've said something about that. There are prospects also, because there are two attempts due to the proximity between pig and human DNA. There have been attempts. We all heard about that, the heart transplant thing for the pig human heart transplant. They've done on 2 persons and it failed, but there are still further attempts at making that happen. And then pork meat is used there very well. Maybe you don't know, ABC Transport is one of the biggest farmers who have pig farmers. Yeah, and they produce this kind of what is it called again? Gala, you know. And those that produce hot dogs, And those that crush, there are people that crush pork. They crush it with the bone, and they can it, and they sell. So that's at the industrial scale, if you have the capital and the machine to do that. So these are the few that I know, but there's a lot. Like, if you can ask any system the question, they will get out for you a lot that you can do, with pork meat. So I think that's my attempt.
Okay, thank you so very much. Thank you. This is huge. This is massive. Thank you so much value here. And I'm sure this question has been answered. To know more about how you can process or other values you can get from pig, you may do a little research to find out how you can maximize it. For now, I think the focus has been more on the pork, okay? But there are other things you can also do with pig. Thank you so very much for your time. Thank you, Mr. Olumba Shooks. We are so excited. We are grateful that you have spared us some time from your very tight schedule to teach us from your wealth of experience. Thank you. Now, in summary, pig farming is a very versatile and economically viable agricultural practice that supports both small-scale and large-scale farming operations. As we have listened to Mr. Olumba Shooks, he have explained this to us. Now, the efficient feed conversion, high reproductive rates, and growing global demand for pork has made pig farming a very valuable endeavor. And so, are you still confused on what business to start? Pig farming is a very viable option. You can consider it, and I bet you it's a very profitable venture. Thank you, everyone, for your time. We really do appreciate it. It's important you know that this webinar is coming to you from Pelox Integrated Modern Farm Limited. We believe in building a food-sufficient society. And part of what we're doing is this, to ensure that our society becomes food sufficient again. We become secured. And once that happens, great things can happen. Hunger goes away. This rising trend of hunger can actually be stopped if each and every one of us begins to do something. Make sure you are not doing it. Make sure you are doing something. Make sure you are not staying idle. And that's your backyard. You can plant something. You can rear something. By all means, do something. Some of our products include Davila mixed flour, Davila sweetener, Davila ceramics, Pelox dried fish, Pelox palm oil, fresh farm processed chicken, and we also consult. So if you want to set up your farm, you can let us know. We'll do that for you. At this point, we want to say thank you to every one of you that have taken the time to stay to the end. Thank you, Mr. Chukwuemeka Stanley. Thank you, Chidima. Thank you, Ambassador Vera. Thank you, Mr. Collins. Thank you, Mr. Francis, God gift. Thank you, Mr. Shuka Obego, my boss. Thank you. Thank you, my personal person, Professor Kenneth, the economic advisor to the Imo State government. You've been here, you started with us and you are here even to the end. Thank you so very much for your time. We are grateful. We are humbled to have you in this course, sir. Thank you, Mr. Oke Oshulo, and to our able presenter or our main person that has shared from his word of experience. Truly, if we were to pay for this, I don't think a lot of us can afford it. Thank you, Mr. Shooks, for being open, for telling us everything, not hiding it, and also willing to share more. We're so grateful that you're here with us. Thank you. And from here, I want to say bye-bye till next time. Bye. Thank you. Wow.
Amazing. Congratulations.